First question is for Consul General Fotiadu. And the question is, can everyone hear me? Does your government believe that Greece should, as a condition of the bailout, require that the Greek Orthodox Church give up its tax-exempt status and pay the clergy rather than have the state pay them and their salaries?
Moving right along.
Okay, this is a very difficult question. The truth is that indeed the property of the church is not taxed. There are discussions about it. There is no decision yet. The truth is that the church tries to play a very positive role from the philanthropic point of view in this crisis. Even the church here in the States tries to collect funds. They have charity organizations in Greece, and they try to help the poorer parts of the population. The truth is that the church has a very, very important they have real estate, they have a lot of money in Greece, but I don't know what will happen.
Thank you. A question for the Consul General of Germany. There are actually a few questions, and I'll combine these together. What do you think the EU will look like in 5 years? And also, has a growth plan been established for Greece and or the EU? There have been some comparisons between the European Union in its current state and the United States under the Articles of Confederation. Perhaps we can start with the Consul General of Germany. Your thoughts?
Well, last point, Europe will never become something like the United States of America. That was never the intention, that is not the plan, that is simply, you should not compare the two. We are a case sui generis. Second, growth plan. I come back to what David has said, namely that this fiscal pact has to pass parliament. And in Germany, as you know, we have a coalition government. Chancellor Merkel, with all her strength and popularity, cannot muster the majority she needs in parliament to pass this fiscal pact. She needs the opposition. And the opposition said yesterday, yes. It's like the Republicans having Obama pass a bill. Can you imagine this? The opposition said, yes, we will help you. We have only a little condition that you add to the austerity measures plans for growth. So the opposition pushes the Chancellor in the direction of creating more growth, which is good. The second condition from the opposition side was, by the way, the regulation of the financial markets in Europe, which is also something in this country not very popular. In Britain, not at all. That's why Cameron went home. He didn't want the city of London being under European regulation. Our opposition, Social Democrats, you know, the communists in your times, they want more regulation for financial, the bad guys, the banks. How does the European Union look like in 5 years? I hope better. We will still exist. There is simply no way to go back. You must simply go back to the end of the Second World War and see how Europe looked like. Completely devastated, millions of people killed, and then it started with the German-French initiative, with the Montanunion, the European coal and steel. Coal and steel, because coal and steel were strategic measures to build weapons. So we internationalized this in Luxembourg. Then came the European Economic Union, and then the political enlargement and so on. And there is simply no way in thinking you can redraft this or start from scratch or it's simply not possible. The question is sometimes, will there be a rift the Northern European with a more speed, so to say, of integration. And no, although this is not our intention, as I said before, Europe has understood that the great questions of this century are global questions. It's energy, it's climate change, it's migration, it's terrorism. All these cannot anymore be solved on a national level. So we know we must stick together, and we will. And in 5 years, it will be better.
Thank you. To add to that, a question for the Consul General of Italy, and also the questioner would like the perspective of our moderator, Mr. Pyatt. Should the Central European Bank configure policy based on the specific financial considerations of the constituent nations or the regional goals of the EU?
I think the European Central Bank is already doing that. David recognized the leadership of Governor Mario Draghi, and that's very important because precisely at a time in which we are going through very heavy austerity measures that impose a very rigorous discipline, budgetary discipline on every single country, it's very important, going back to your first question, that there is a counterbalance almost of that there is the monetary liquidity necessary to allow the countries somehow to grow and to face all the constraints that they have to in order to pay their debt. So now the European Central Bank cannot be a lender of last resort. It cannot help directly the governments, unlike the Fed in the US. So the central bank has to adjust its strategy precisely because of the peculiarity of the way the European Union is structured, is configured. So, but even with these restraints, even with these rules, the European Central Bank has a way, and has done so far in the last loans that the bank gave to a number of European banks was very important, precisely because it allowed, first of all, it stabilized the banking system at a time where the banking system was suffering. So it gave these banks the possibility to have cheap access to liquidity, and that was very important. And at the same time, by so doing, indirectly, it allowed the member states to somehow sell their debt more easily. And this is very important because otherwise it's a vicious circle. What happens is that if you're not able to sell your debt, your interest rates go up immediately, and you have to pay more money to service your debt, and it becomes increasingly difficult, and your debt increases because you have to pay more interest. So it's very important that these interest rates are kept under control. Now there is a trend towards reducing rates, which is very positive, and the European Central Bank has a major stake in that, and it's thanks to the European Central Bank that this was possible.